never been done before.
We the people tell the government what to do. It doesn't tell us. We the people are the driver. The government is the car. And we decide where it should go and by what route to do. We the people are free. And I hope we have once again reminded people that man is not free unless government is limited.
Well, g'day, folks. How are you? Hope you're doing all right for whatever day of the week it is. Tuesday, I believe. God, look at me. 2 days in a row after being crook last week and everything. I've got to say thank you, Thomas. Thank you, Thomas. Thank you. Thank you. You can stop. I think your mother knows that I'm on. But thank you. I know that you let not only her, but apparently the neighbours know as well, because as soon as the show starts, you start running around the house yelling, "Mum, Carl's on, Carl's on, Carl's on." So thanks, brother. I appreciate all the time and effort that you put into that. I really do. And acknowledgement where acknowledgement is needed. All right. I've got a few little different things happening on here tonight. Camera's in a different place to begin with. Normally it's sort of up a little bit higher, but now I've dropped it down a little bit. It's hovering delicately over a keyboard, which I hopefully won't have to touch. And that will hope, because I'm going to be doing a lot of reading tonight. And I didn't want to be sort of looking all over the place and carrying on. So bear with me as we work our way through that, please. If it doesn't look like I'm looking at you, it's not because I'm not looking at you. It's because I'm looking at what's ostensibly, I hope, behind you, maybe a little bit above you, around you. If you see me doing that, it's because I'm ducking my head around the camera to see words. But anyway, we'll get to it. Some interesting... Oh, no, before I get to some interesting headlines, first of all, I'll go into the room, see who's arrived. Hello to everybody who got in first up tonight. Gomez. Watch out. Yes, well, we are going to take a bit of a look at Antarctica this evening. And yes, yellow snow is... Ooh, that's ugly. The whole thing just went poof and clapped out. Just excuse me while I exit out, and I'll have to come back in again. Very strange. Very strange. Just give me a second while I figure this out. I'll put up a nice little graphic for the interim period. How's that? There you go. Right, well, I've lost the ability to do a background, but anyway, we will persist if that is the best way of describing what it is I'm going to do tonight. I'll pop me down there because, like I say, I do intend on doing a fair bit of reading tonight, and we'll progress from there. So I guess putting a comment up from my end at the moment isn't possible because that's what made the whole thing go and stop. So, but congratulations and thank you again to Gomez being first in the room tonight. Congratulations. I'm not sure why, because we're not giving anything away for the prize, but thanks for being there. Lady Ryder Rose, how lovely you are. Lovely to have you in. The lovely Aussie Sue. I want to put up, please, like, share, subscribe, all those things, but I'm a bit shit scared it's going to kick me out of the system again, so I won't do that. Aussie Sue, I think the inner Earth in the Antarctic is where Bird entered and was talking about. I think you may have... a few points there. Bird was involved in a very big battle down there, and he did go back to do some exploration and does tell some interesting stories from it. His son, in fact, tells the stories, I believe, because Bird's been dead a few years now. Pardon me, Campbell Purvis from Autodidactic knows a bit about Antarctica. Might have to dig him up. Tony, nice to have you in the house. The lovely Connie, of course, and Tom, who I hope is still listening. And Alan. Don't want to forget Alan. And look, Don't know, have we ever mentioned your daughter? Don't know that she wants to be mentioned. She might be a bit embarrassed. I won't. Never know. Young people these days. The bear is in the house. Clayton Bear, nice to have you in the house, buddy. And Addie, nice to have you too. What that? I am seeing a distinct lack of what that so far. Bulls Nuts, nice to have you in the house. Kicking down, kicking down, kicking down. We're all having a great old chat. Not sure exactly what about. I hope it's to do with tonight's show, but who knows? Big conies, or is that just big cones? 69. Did I see the news about Dave Guru today? Seems to have lost big in court. I haven't seen the news, but he lost big in court a few weeks ago. I guess the judgment was handed down today. So I do believe that there was a defamation case that was enacted against him. And while I don't think Dave himself was responsible for whatever was said, as the host of the show, the broadcaster, if you like, was held to a higher standard. So I hesitate to comment on any of it. I do know that the guy that sued him for defamation was either alleged or is an admitted Freemason of the Ordus Templi Orientis variety. And that was what formed part of the proceedings. But don't get me involved, or don't get me wrong, I just have no knowledge of it. The first time I even heard that it was happening was when I saw an article about Dave's closing argument. Dave represented himself, I believe, in the case. And I saw the argument pretty well word for word. I think the article represented it. And I thought, okay, we'll wait and see what comes out of that. And here is obviously something that has come out of that today. So, no, I haven't caught up with it. I hesitate to comment on it if that is the case. So I might tomorrow, but we will see. Defamation is an interesting, very interesting law. Defamation, slander. You really need to know your way around those laws if you're going to go and say things. And before I get into the core of tonight's program, I'm going to read you all something that many of you may or may not find very useful in the not too distant future. Now, for some time, there have been, and I really hate the term, sovereign citizen has been used by mainstream media to bracket people. Now, I've felt that this has been dangerous, and that's why I push back against it. I also push back against it because to put the two words together is an oxymoron, but when you're trying to explain an oxymoron to a number of morons, it is not a pleasant place, and it's very difficult to get them over to your side. So I posted something up on my Facebook page and attracted what I think is a wonderful comment from Mark Mahoney, but he credits Romley Stewart and the crew, of course, from the Corruption Whistleblower, wonderful people. So if you are concerned, as I am, about being dubbed a sovereign citizen, you might be concerned for different reasons than me. I'm just insulted that somebody is not smart enough to figure out you can't put the two words together, and then they want to brand me with it. But there are bigger sides to this. So I want to read this to you, and I want you to remember it. If someone calls you a sovereign citizen, you can tell them that they're placing your life in danger by using that derogatory and slanderous statement. As it's become evident that the man and woman that questions the validity of poor government processes or corruption within government is now labelled as a dangerous sovereign citizen, placing that man or woman in a dangerous and life-threatening position where such man or woman can be gunned down by the accusing state without any form of justice being granted. Not only does it put such a man's life in grave danger, such a nonsensical, derogatory, slandering destroys the ability of having even a fair hearing, and it destroys a good man or woman's reputation in order to function within society. It is derogatory slander directed at one who did nothing wrong without a court verdict. But by the state branding the man or woman a sovereign citizen, they are putting them in harm's way, even to death. Now, we can argue about sovereigns and citizens and whether or not King Charles is the only sovereign citizen until the cows come home. It doesn't really matter. What matters is anybody who calls you a sovereign citizen without any knowledge of what they are really saying is defaming you. They are slandering you. And you have cause for action. Oh, but I have no money. Well, currently, yes, that would be a bit of a problem. However, what if we could come to a position where we had legal representation? It was for the want of a better term, no win, no fee kind of setup. And people who were unfairly branded sovereign citizens by people in the community who just like to throw that term around, and by government who likes to brand people with it, placing their lives in danger. How do you fight back? Well, you do it with private prosecutions. Your lawyer becomes the prosecutor, their lawyer, obviously the defense lawyer. And it is held in front of a court, in front of a judge. Do they cost? Yes, of course they cost. There is time, there are lawyers, there are all sorts of things involved. But is it worth it? Well, yes, in my estimation, if you, particularly you, have been charged with anything, and they're using the term sovereign citizen, I'd be suing them for slander and defamation immediately. Because how can you prove an oxymoron? You can't. Now, what you might be able to prove is somebody who's very dedicated to a specific and old form of law. And I say old simply because it's been around since 1215. And that's really the one I follow. Magna Carta 1215. Not the rewrites, and certainly not the version that's proudly on show at Australia's House of Satan in Canberra, which wasn't written by a king. It wasn't written by the head of the British Empire. It was written by a Catholic Pope who'd never been out of Italy. And it had a great deal of changes to the version that was written in 1215 or agreed to in 1215. And those changes are important. But tonight's not about Magna Carta 1215. Tonight, in part, is about sovereign citizenship and protecting yourself from being branded by it, because now the government have made that term dangerous. And there really is no reason for it to be made dangerous, but they, as we will get to shortly, use fear to control you. Fear to guide you, fear to shape your perceptions, and fear to keep you quiet when required. So let's get on to something else that they've used for many years that has a lot to do with fear. Many people have been concerned about it. The question of aliens. And in this show, I'm not really going to talk about whether or not aliens exist. I think the real question is this. What if they've already been here and they want nothing at all to do with us? Not because they fear our weapons, not because they fear our militaries, but because we are toxic. Think about that for a moment. If there are civilizations hidden beneath the earth, beneath Antarctica, beneath the oceans, if there are beings capable of traversing water, atmosphere, and space with technologies we can barely comprehend, then perhaps the greatest danger to them is not our aggression. Perhaps the greatest danger to them is our contamination. If you look at the world, today's world, honestly, our air is polluted, our water is polluted, our food systems are saturated with chemicals, preservatives, plastics, heavy metals, endocrine disruptors, pesticides, pharmaceuticals, and then there's the synthetic compounds that never existed in nature before, well, before the last century anyway. And that's only the physical layer. What about the invisible layer? Electromagnetic saturation, artificial frequencies, constant signal bombardment, psychological conditioning, stress hormones, fear cycles, sleep disruption, noise pollution. What if an advanced civilization understands frequency, biology, and consciousness at a level that we simply don't? What if they view Earth the same way we would view a biohazard zone? What if the surface of our world has become so spiritually, biologically, and energetically hostile, so toxic, that for them to come here in anything other than a spacesuit would kill them or potentially do them great harm? And then there's Antarctica. Why has Antarctica fascinated explorers, militaries, mystics, and conspiracy researchers for generations? Why are there so many stories surrounding hidden entrances, forbidden regions, unexplained sightings, strange energy anomalies, and inner Earth theories? Now, I'm not saying any one story is proven fact, but I am saying this. Human civilization has a long history of hiding strategic truths from the public. So, is it really impossible that entire regions of knowledge have been concealed from us, the ordinary people? I don't think so. And if there are civilizations below us, hidden in the oceans, underground in biospheres, ancient survivors, or even non-human intelligences, would they really want to open physical contact with the modern surface of the world? Imagine, just for a minute, that you're an advanced species. What do you see? Well, you see a civilization poisoning its own food, poisoning its own atmosphere, bombarding itself with artificial frequencies 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You see manipulating thought through media and algorithmic conditioning. You see destroying ecosystems, destroying fertility, destroying mental health, destroying spiritual connection. If you saw all that, would you walk openly into that kind of an environment? Or would you observe from a distance? Would you quarantine the surface? Would you wait? Maybe first contact isn't being delayed because they aren't ready. Maybe first contact is being delayed because we aren't. Maybe humanity has become incompatible with higher civilizations, biologically, psychologically, and spiritually. And perhaps the real hidden war isn't for territory. Perhaps the real war is for human consciousness itself. And here's another question humanity desperately needs to ask itself. What if the world is not nearly as dangerous as we are constantly being told to believe? We're constantly being told, oh, it's a very, very frightening place. What if fear itself has become the product? Now, think about modern media for a second. Fear sells. Fear keeps people watching. Fear keeps people emotionally reactive. Fear keeps populations divided, exhausted, distracted, and easier to influence. And I can give you an example very pertinent to this show. Every day I've got to come up with a thumbnail. Every day I've got to come up with a headline for the show and a name for the show and all that. I could ask AI to generate all of that for me, and it'd probably use its algorithms to come up with the best possible things and ways to do it. But I don't do that. I just write whatever I feel works well, and that's to my detriment. If I allowed the algorithms to take over, we might attract a few more people. I don't know. But I have discovered when I'm writing the bits that you see at the headline of the show, I have seen that if I write those headlines in a certain way, I attract more viewers to the show. The more drama I put into that line, the more viewers I will attract to the show. Drama, fear, sells. And YouTube algorithms and other social media algorithms are built around that. Built around it. And when you look at mainstream media coverage today, whether it's wars, pandemics, economic collapse, climate catastrophe, terrorism, cyber attacks, food shortages, social division, geopolitical conflict, there's one common ingredient in almost all of it: escalation. Constant escalation. Every headline becomes existential. Every conflict becomes the start of World War III. Fear changes biology. Fear floods the body with stress hormones. Fear narrows perception. Fear makes populations much easier to steer. And if you wanted to control a civilization, not necessarily through overt dictatorship, but through psychological management, what would you do? You wouldn't need to physically imprison everyone. No, you just need to keep them frightened enough that they imprison themselves mentally. Constantly refreshing news feeds, constantly waiting for catastrophe, constantly expecting collapse. And maybe that's the real battlefield of the modern era. Not land, not oil, not missiles, but consciousness, attention, perception. Now, I'm not saying nothing bad ever happens. Clearly it does. Shit. History's proved it too, for the history we can see and believe. But I am saying this. Human beings are now exposed to more fear stimuli in 1 week than many ancient humans and civilizations completely experienced in their entire lifetime. Think about that. We experience more fear stimuli every week than any civilization before us. And not by a little bit, but by quantum amounts. 24-hour news cycles, endless alerts, social media doom loops, algorithmic amplification, and every system competing for your attention learns exactly the same lesson. Fear performs better than peace. Outrage performs better than balance. Panic performs better than perspective. So, and we've got to ask ourselves a bigger question. If humanity is being psychologically conditioned into a permanent state of fear, exhaustion, and division, who benefits from that? And what happens to a civilization that forgets how to think calmly? Well, maybe the greatest threat to humanity is not what's happening out there. Maybe the greatest threat is to what prolonged fear is doing in here, to the human mind, to the human spirit, to the human ability to reason. And maybe that's why people are beginning to question the narratives more than I think ever before. Not because they deny reality, but because we sense we're being emotionally managed by it. And maybe this is where we need to stop and ask even another deeper question about today's world. What exactly has happened to the human mind over the last 20 or 30 years? Because for almost all of human history, people were never exposed to constant global catastrophe information, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. A farmer in the 1700s didn't wake up to breaking news from 12 countries before breakfast. A fisherman in the 1800s wasn't bombarded every 10 seconds with war footage or disease models or financial panic or social outrage or collapsing markets or political outrage or algorithmically amplified fear. The human nervous system evolved for localized threats, a storm, a predator, a tribal conflict, a drought, short bursts of danger followed by recovery. But now humanity exists inside a permanent digital alarm bell. And the question has to be asked, are humans biologically designed to process this much fear information continuously? Or are we unknowingly overwhelming our own nervous systems? Because modern media is no longer simply competing to inform people. It's competing for attention. And attention has become one of the most valuable commodities on earth. Fear captures attention faster than peace. Outrage spreads faster than calmness. Panic generates more clicks than perspective. And social media algorithms learned this very, very quickly. The more emotionally reactive people become, the longer they stay engaged. The longer they stay engaged, the more advertisements they consume. The more advertisements they consume, the more profitable fear becomes. Now, think about that carefully. If fear is profitable, then there is a built-in financial incentive to keep populations emotionally activated. Every headline escalates. Every disagreement becomes a crisis. Every conflict becomes the potential end of civilization. And after years of this, humanity begins living in a constant state of a low-grade psychological siege mentality. Stress hormones are elevated. Sleep patterns are disrupted. Attention is fragmented. Relationships strained. Communities divided, people no longer trusting each other. And perhaps most dangerously of all, people becoming too emotionally exhausted to think clearly. Because fear narrows perception. Fear reduces critical reasoning. Fear pushes human beings towards tribalism, impulsive thinking, and dependency. And when populations become fearful enough, they will often surrender freedoms voluntarily in exchange for the promise of safety. That pattern repeats all through history. But now technology has amplified that process to levels humanity has never experienced before. Never before has a civilization carried a global crisis machine around in its pocket 24 hours a day. Never before. Never before have billions of people simultaneously absorbed, synchronized emotional narratives in real time. Never before. And maybe that's why anxiety, depression, division, loneliness, and emotional instability are rising across so much of the world. Not because humans are weak, but because the modern information environment may itself be psychologically unnatural. And perhaps the greatest act of rebellion in this modern era isn't violence. Perhaps it's remaining calm, thinking critically, questioning emotionally manipulative narratives, disconnecting from perpetual fear, and reclaiming ownership of our own mind. I hope this helps you. You can help us. We're very keen for that. You can help us buy a coffee at vofhq.com. He just hit the donate button, or better still, go and buy a coffee mug over at our merch site, merch.vofhq.com/shop. You can also donate over there too, which would be helpful. Vince isn't popping in to do all that sort of stuff for us tonight, so I've got to go and do the newsy part, or he will get very upset with me. I believe we are seeing a lot of great things happening, folks. We are seeing some wonderful changes in the world. We are seeing some horrors being opened up and some truths being laid bare. There are many people who are not going to accept them. There are many people who are going to take a little while to come on board, but we will get there. But I'd be keen to know your thoughts about what I've said here tonight. Oh, wrong one. Let me find that one. Oh, I'll need to remove that. I have probably the biggest message I want to give you tonight is this one. Never, ever give up. Never, ever give up. I know it's hard. I have people calling me every day, telling me how hard it is for them, what's going on in their world, and how life is, well, kicking them in the testicular region on a regular basis with a size 10 steel-toed shoe. Unfortunately, the world has a lot of size 10 steel-toed shoes, and many of us have our testicles out in our hands waiting to be kicked. We can do more for ourselves, put our testicles away, do a little bit of education, and learn to push back, learn to fight the right way. And the post that I'd put up on Facebook was about, that I mentioned earlier at the start of the show, that post was about taking responsibility, being accountable. I don't believe we as a society can have any meaningful relationship with whatever entities living under, above, below, or around Antarctica have, because we are toxic. Our frequencies have been poisoned deliberately by the parasites that have been running this farce on us for 1,000 years. More so. But it's over. Many of us are awake to it. Many more are waking to it. And there are some who are horrified, as we all were initially in the early days, because some of the things that you discover in the early days are quite horrific. But trust me, there's a lot more to discover, and discover it we all must, because without discovering it, there can be no accountability. We won't know who to bring forward, and I'll use the 28 as an example. Who do we make accountable for the 28, most of whom are now dead, and the list has grown to, 60 plus? Who do we make accountable? Do we make those that are still alive accountable for the crimes that they committed? Do we make those that hid those crimes accountable? And if so, how do we make all of that accountable and still be able to look God in the eye and say, yes, Lord, I followed your laws? There is no doubt many of these parasites in leadership positions, not just here in Australia, but around the world, have made a concerted effort to kill us as a population, to thin the herd, to get rid of the useless eaters. The plan was discovered by many years ago by some, but more recently, in the last 10 years, by a lot more. And in part, Q is responsible for that. Q ignited a search among inquisitive minds. And I think that search, in part, opened up the doors for many of us, those with inquiring minds and those with questioning minds, skeptics, because skeptics love nothing more than a dedicated conspiracist, I can tell you. I would love to speak one day about my time when I once lectured. I spoke to the Skeptics Society. I embarrassed myself terribly. It was about radio and it was an awful fun. Anyway, maybe I won't talk about it, but I would love another go with the Skeptics Society. And we could really talk about some interesting things and have some very interesting, I'm sure, conversations now that I've grown up and matured a little bit, and may have learnt a few more conspiracies that you guys could sink your teeth into. And it's only through being able to beard those skeptics in their den, so to speak, that we are going to be able to maybe, hopefully, put a little chink in the armor, lift a corner, lift a flap, get some information in that sticks, that makes them go, that makes them doubt Google, that makes them doubt those things that they rely on as truth. Hey, Siri, tell me the answer to this. Or, hey, Google, tell me the answer. Oh, shit, Siri's just fired up. It's all right, Siri, go back to sleep.
Okay, I found this on the web for tell me the answer to this. Hey, Google, tell me the answer. Check it out.
The sort of shit it can find on the web when you don't ask it anything, hey? That's why I usually put it well away from me. I don't usually leave it sitting on my lap during the show, just so you know. I had it there for prop purposes. At any rate, well, I think we are waking up. I think we are getting better at explaining ourselves. I think family and friends who've listened to our previous explanations and have been left less than convinced are probably not the place to restart the conversations just yet. Go out and get a few other newbies under your belt before you go attacking your family again and trying to get them involved. But one day they will come back. One day the truths will be self-evident. One day, I suspect sooner rather than later, they will come to you, maybe not begging, but they will come to you looking for answers. And I hope, I'm sure, you'll be able to provide them. And if you don't, you know people who can. So, and if I can help, then I can help. And if I can't, I might know somebody who can. There are plenty of us around. So I don't want to leave tonight, with a sour taste in your mouth to make you think, oh, woe is us, the world is bad, aliens are getting, out of hand and won't come and visit us and all that. They will one day, I'm sure. But just think about it. If you were them and you looked at our world and how toxic it has become, not just just for us, let alone them, would you really want to be up here saying, oh, yeah, great, we'd love to invite you over to our place? Why don't you come down to our inner world and see how badly you can fuck that up? So I've never been a greenie, folks. Don't get me wrong, and I'm not starting to advertise the fact now. But I think there is an element of something pretty real in all of this. Why would they want to come up and shake our hand if doing so is just going to spread a toxic frequency, a biological disease or problem? Why would they? So our job is to raise, once again, our vibration, raise our frequency, become better. And I know this family has been very, very responsible for a lot of frequency raising. Something I'm extremely proud of. And I think Watha is a reasonable example, most recently, of the family coming together to help. Coming together to pray, coming to offer healing. But more to the point, they're to turn up in the quiet times at the hospital. They're to be there on the phone when he needs a chat. We are better people for being in this family. We just need to get more people in it, folks. We'd love it if you could help. Share this if you will. Like, subscribe, all of those good things. Get the message out. Our vibration is very high. Our vibration is all about lifting you, motivating you with truth. Not me telling you how things are, but me giving you information. You decide for yourself whether it's for you or not. But I share whatever information I share in the belief and the hope that you are motivated by it like I am motivated by it. And that is to find new and interesting, less aggressive ways to give this information to people who resist it. There's no point getting into a fight with people who resist this information. They're always going to resist it. You've got to learn how to pick the people. Some of them are worth having. Some of them are just NPCs, non-participating combatants or playing combatant, non-players. Anyway, they're just walking around empty. So there's no use trying to train them up to be of use. The art is learning how to pick them. And there are plenty of them out there. I wish you all the best in your hunt for them. Not hard. Once you start finding the right people and surrounding yourself with them, the wrong ones pop out very quickly on sight, very easily. Easy to avoid, easy. You don't have to get angry with them or anything like that. It's just there's no point in wasting your breath. These are people you are never going to be able to help. And it's probably best you steer clear of them because they're not going to be very happy when they figure out they've been on the wrong side of all of this. And I figure that's one of the big differences between all of us and all of them. If you are anything like I am, if we get to the end of all this and discover that we're 100% wrong and that they are 100% right, well, I'm going to be very disappointed in myself and I'll probably have to go around and do this life again. But I've never felt anything more strongly more passionately, more solidly in my heart than this journey we are on right now. And I am very positive about how it's going to wind up for us all. Well, those of us who are seeing it coming. Sure enough, there will be losses. And maybe some of us may be lost. I might be lost. God. I'm not running headlong to embrace death should it be coming, but I'm certainly not afraid of it. And as long as my death advances this cause, I'm all for it. I'm not going to waste it. I'm not going to antagonize people and create it. What we would much like to do is create a much better frequency, a much higher frequency, a frequency that unites instead of divides, a frequency that loves instead of hates, a frequency that joins instead of forces apart. And you, my dear friends, are very much a huge part of that frequency. Cheer up, it's getting depressing. Please don't get depressed. This is a great future we're getting to. We've just got to wake people up faster. Don't be depressed. God. What there's in the house? You could be wrong, you could be right. Johnny Rotten with Carl Liebald. Yeah, right. I don't know what that was. That was probably a previous comment. No, I just want people to understand serious times are coming, but we're on the leading edge of this. We are on the wave. Ride the wave. Use the power of the wave. And we will get an hell of a lot further. An hell of a lot further. I'm going to love you and leave you. Gold and silver prices have been doing some weird things. They jumped up to $120 an ounce nearly the other day, then dropped down again to I think it was 103 or 4. They're sitting around $106 an ounce for silver at the moment, and 6,370 odd for gold. If you are available and able, I would once again say that's a very good time to buy. If you took a bit of notice last week when we said that the price was down this point, the next couple of days it jumped up to $120. I didn't tell you to sell then. If you did, you probably made money, but if you didn't, you'll be waiting for it to come back up again, as am I. Aren't we all? We are all a work in progress. Giselle, thank you for your donation. And yes, we are all absolutely a work in progress. And God gives us a guiding light every day. We just have to open our eyes to see it or our ears to hear it. But every day he puts us somewhere, a little guiding light on the path we should be trekking down. I'm learning this slowly but surely. This is something fairly new to me, but I am finding it very apt and very beneficial, should I just say. So anyway, thank you. Yes, maybe Flash. I should start quoting some Pink Floyd lyrics instead of making up my own. I hear you. All right, babies. Oh, sorry, babies. What am I saying? Somebody's written that up in there somewhere, and I've caught it with an eye. Thank you, Margot. Sweet dreams to you too. I hope you have a lovely night. The black sheep. When it all goes up, gold and silver goes down. When oil goes down, gold and silver go up. Don't sell, buy down. When do what he said. He knows what he's doing. And very soon he'll know what he's doing on the mainland. I hope you're feeling better, buddy, after the fall. Trust all that's going pretty well. Stay strong, stay true. Thank you, Giselle. Yes, everybody do that. The lovely Deb, thank you very much. All of this Pink Floyd commentary. I know when we get together for a camp out, folks, and in South Australia, I believe will be the next one. Well, June 27th will be the big day, but prior to and after we'll be there. And we would love to have you attending. That will be at, the foot of the Flinders Ranges at the Stony Creek Bush Caravan Campground. And Wayno from Wilmo will be able to tell you. Wilmington is the town you'll be heading to in South Australia. And not far from Deb. Well, I suppose, well, when I say not far, that's, 5 or 6 hours, not far from Deb. It's a bit closer to a few others. Not many, I'll be honest. Sunflower, lovely to see you. Hope you had a good one. And Penny, I saw you put a comment up earlier that I thought I'd start, and now I don't seem to see it. What was that comment? It was a bloody good comment too. Hang on a minute. Let me see if I can find it in the other commenty thing. And Penny, watch the video, read Desi today. Oh, yes. Right. The Desi Freeman video. For those of you who aren't aware, there has been a video made by a guy named Dave, I think it was, from a freedom group down in Victoria. They interviewed the owner of the property that Desi was on when the police came a-calling that day, and he allegedly shot 3 of them, 2 of them dead, 1 of them incapacitated to a point where he hasn't been able to speak in public since. And Desi had alleged Desi had a homemade shotgun. Now, unless Desi had somehow figured out how to make a homemade double-barreled shotgun, I suppose it's not beyond the realms of possibility, but is highly, highly unlikely. This whole thing poses a few issues. Now, I think you mentioned that the Chaos Chronicles, Biff has gone through and done. I haven't seen that yet. I did watch the original walkthrough of the property with the owner, where he explained everything and stood in the places where, Desi shot the people and all that. I had a number of questions myself. I was just as sick as a dog, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, to really get out and think clearly and do much about it. And it's great that Biff has got out ahead of this. Well, I'm hoping he's got out ahead of this. I'm gathering that because he's not a silly boy, Biff, from the Chaos Chronicles. I recommend you go and check it out. He might look a bit frightening, but he's got some nous about him. I'm pretty confident he would have recognized, as I did, and many of you, I'm sure, that if Desi killed 2 police officers with a shotgun, a homemade shotgun, which would have necessarily had a short barrel, which would have meant a wide spread pattern of whatever he used. Now, what he used inside the shotgun, we haven't been advised of. Was it buckshot? Were they solids? What was it? And I guess, I hope, I'll have to go and have a look at this now. But the question for me is, folks, when you watch that video and the guy, this is only one of the questions, there are many. When the guy says, this is where the police officer was standing and the other guy that got shot, I believe, was standing over there. I wasn't here, he says. I wasn't here. I didn't see this. I was standing at the back of the bus when this happened. But this was like where Officer 1 was shot, was at the door of the bus, and Officer 2 was over that guy's right shoulder, and Officer 3 was back behind him. Now, like I say, if Desi had a homemade shotgun, it's unlikely to have had 2 barrels. It's unlikely to have been able to fire a second shot after the first one had been fired. So it kind of indicates that that one shot cleaned up 2 officers and injured the third one from one shot. If that were to be the case, it would also indicate there'd be a hell of a lot of blood. Hell of a lot of blood spatter. A hell of a lot. 2 police officers dead on the ground, apparently bleeding out. And then you listen to how long it takes. And the fellow who appears to be doing all the work to do the saving of the third copper is, in fact, the owner of the property. The rest of the police seem paralyzed. This is a very interesting story to check out. And I haven't got the name of the Facebook page. Let me just get Facebook up and see if I can find it. If you haven't seen this interview, it is well worth doing. And this interview recorded with the owner of the property was recorded in October of last year. I want to say I posted it on my Facebook page. Did I? I didn't. Maybe. It's called the Living Free Movement. I did. I posted it on the 16th of May. So if you've got Facebook, go and look up the Living Free Movement, and you'll be able to see the full, it's about an hour-long video of a walkthrough with the owner of the property where he describes exactly what happened that day in great detail. So go and check that out. And then, yes, if you know anything about weapons, if you know anything about shotguns, if you've ever shot or even seen a watermelon shot with a shotgun with buckshot in it, imagine what that would do to a human being or two human beings standing in line, probably within 1.5 meters, both of them within 1.5 meters of the blast or the barrel. Didn't see any evidence of blood anywhere. Didn't see any evidence of the place having been used as a crime scene at all. This is just one question I have. So, yes, go away, have a look and see what goes on there. Eric, thank you for your donation. Wow, thank you. Blown me away. Did you put a question or anything in there? Have I missed you somewhere? Man, thank you. That is so generous. I appreciate you. But there is a lot of questions about the Desi Freeman case that need to be answered. And you need to learn how to protect yourself against arseholes who want to call you a sovereign citizen, because the government is going to use that term to kill you if they get the opportunity. Learn to push back, folks, and learn to do it their way. Defamation. Someone calls you a sovereign citizen, they better be able to back that up. And if they've called you a sovereign citizen, they are too stupid to know how to back it up, because they know they can't. If they're smart, they'd know they can't back it up. There's no way. So I would be using that, folks, to your advantage. Absolutely to your advantage. Yeah, Mark, you're right. They'll lock the records for 75 years. Well, the nice thing about that is apparently there's a tsunami of one nation coming to the world, and what has been locked up for 75 years might just be able to be unlocked. Why wouldn't it be able to be unlocked? We, the people, demand it. And if we, the people, get behind one nation, it will be only with we, the people, support one nation get into power. Then one nation will need to expose everything they can find about this. But, and I've said it before about the 28 and what Malcolm Roberts tried to find out and said he could find nothing out, and I believe him. I honestly believe he tried as hard as he could. The bureaucracy will have hidden it. The bureaucracy has got it buried so deeply, and it's so well hidden that nobody will ever get the answer unless we get the right bureaucrat by the left nut and squeeze. And oh boy, I know some ball breakers that are really looking forward to that opportunity. Anyway, folks, love you and leave you for tonight. Be safe if you are heading out. Give some thought to what I've said, and if you've got a comment, stick it in the comments. I would love to hear what you have to say. It's been a pretty in-depth, up-and-downy kind of show tonight, but I got to thinking. I watched a few things overnight and today. Got me thinking a bit about alien contacts. And, well, you can see where that went. Be safe. Stay off the roads if the dickheads are out.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay? Let's rock!